Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May.
Welcome to this week's episode of Lash Biz Babes, the podcast for solo beauty business owners who want to build a full clientele and create a life and business that they truly love. My name is Erica and I'm your host. I'm a lash artist of 7.5 years turned beauty business coach and lash educator, and I'm excited to be back with you guys again this week. I took a couple weeks off because we got super sick and then we were out of town for a little bit and just had a lot going on. So I let myself take a little bit of a breather, but I'm excited to be back to it. I'm excited for today's topic. So if you're new to the show, welcome. Glad you are here. If you're coming back again and listening again, thank you for being here. So if you don't know my story, just a little bit of a backstory to help you understand today's episode. If you don't know my story, let me give you just a real quick 2-sentence brief overview. So I've been a lash artist for 7.5 years, and 2.5 years ago I moved to a new town where I didn't know anyone, and I had to restart my clientele from zero, and I ended up building a full clientele in less than 6 months. And I talk a lot about how I did that and what I did to do that, but today I actually want to talk about the things that I didn't do to be able to build my clientele that quickly. And a couple of the things that I maybe tried but just weren't effective and weren't beneficial. And I am excited to talk about this because you hear a lot of tips and tricks about how to build my clientele or methods and strategies on how to grow and all of that. But I kind of want to talk about the opposite end of it to let you know things you don't actually have to do these things if you don't want to be able to grow. And, a lot of business owners, there's a lot of things that we feel like we need to do in order to be able to grow our clientele and build a successful beauty business that just aren't necessarily rooted in reality. Or in other words, we don't actually have to do them and we can still grow quickly even if we don't do them. So as you're listening today, I just want you to take a minute and think about what beliefs you have about your business and what things you feel like you need to do to be able to build your clientele. Do you feel like you need to show up on social media? Do you feel like you need to have a referral program in place? Do you feel like you need to post every single day? These are the kinds of things. What do you feel like you need to do to be able to build your clientele? So be thinking of these things as we're talking, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the end. But before I jump into these 5 things that I'm going to talk about today, I just want to start with a disclaimer that if you have done or are doing or plan on doing any of these things that I'm going to talk about, that does not mean that you can't grow your business quickly. And in fact, I'm sure there's a lot of beauty business owners out there that have grown successful businesses or grown clienteles quickly that have done some of these things to help them get there. But the point I want to make today is to just get you thinking about the fact that a lot of the things that you feel like you need to do to build your clientele, you don't actually have to do them if you don't want to. And you can still grow and build a full clientele and be successful without doing some of these things that you feel like you need to do. Just because someone else is doing it and it's working great for them doesn't mean that you have to do it, or vice versa. You get to do what feels good for you and your business in order to grow and build your clientele. And you get to find methods that feel aligned for you in order to grow and build your clientele. So there's my little disclaimer. There's really no right or wrong. Building a clientele is going to look different for everybody. But I want you to know that some of these things that we feel like we need to do, you can not do them and still grow really quickly. So that's my point for today. So number one thing I shouldn't say number one because these are not in order at all, but I should say the first thing that I did not do to build my clientele was posting my prices on social media. So the only time I ever posted my prices while I was rebuilding my clientele was one time, and that was because I was doing a price raise, and this was a year and a half into rebuilding my clientele. I was already getting consistent bookings, consistently booking in clients when we had open spots. And I had another lash artist working with me in my studio already. Like, I had already built my clientele in 6 months kind of thing at this point. And that was the only time I ever posted prices. And it was just as kind of like a blanket general notice. Like, I had already contacted clients individually and let them know at their appointments, but just wanted to like give a general notice of like a price increase on my social media page too. So that was the only time I like posted prices. I never had a price highlight bubble on my page, never posted my prices on my stories, anything like that. And again, this isn't to say that if you do have your prices posted that you can't build your clientele quickly, but I just want you to realize that you don't have to do that if you don't want to, and you can still be successful in building your clientele and building your clientele quickly. So I still had my prices posted on my website and my booking site because it is a piece of need to know information for clients, but I just used my social media strictly for attracting clients, and then all of the actual like nitty gritty need to know booking details were on my website and my booking site. So attracting them in, making them want to book with me, and then once they got onto my booking site, they could get all of those like really like need to know detail kind of things. And I think one important thing to note here is that if you are not using online booking or you don't have a website, then I would definitely recommend having a price highlight bubble or posting your prices where potential clients can find them easily, because that still is like, it is need to know information before they book with you. It just doesn't necessarily need to be communicated on your social media pages if you've got a website or online booking. And I think for me, particularly my experience with this, I feel like I got price shopped less because I was giving them all of the other reasons why they should book with me on my social media pages, not just my prices. Because if the only thing you're giving people to decide whether or not they're going to book with you is like, I do these services and here are my prices, you will get price shopped. They will just, because they can find a bunch of people in your area likely that are doing the same services. And if all you're giving them is your prices, then they're just going to pick the cheapest one because they don't know the difference. And so on my social media, I just really focused on giving them more reasons or different reasons on why they should book with me than just my prices. So then they could decide whether or not they liked me, whether or not they wanted to book with me. Then they could go on my website to book an appointment, see my prices, see my services, see my service durations, all those like need to know booking details, and decide if that's like in their budget, and then they could actually book if they wanted to. So you don't have to post your prices on social media, and you can still grow your clientele super quickly. So that was the first thing. The second thing I did not do to build my clientele was posting my policies on social media. It was honestly just something that I felt like needed to be communicated directly to clients, and I had a few different reasons for that. So number one, when I communicated my policies directly to clients, so I would either, at first I started out by giving them a physical copy of my policies at their first appointment that they had to sign that they agreed to, and then I would send it home with them so that they had a copy of it. They couldn't ever say that they never saw them or weren't aware. So that's what I started out doing, but then I switched everything to digital, like consent forms and stuff. And so once I switched to digital, they still got it as part, like a policy sheet as part of my consent form that they had to sign to agree to. And once they signed that, the full copy of everything went to their email. So it was communicated either between booking and their first appointment or at their first appointment, so that it set that expectation from the start on what I expected of them as a client, and just set that tone for like a good working relationship with that client. And if they didn't agree to them or didn't want to sign or whatever, then that was a red flag and I didn't book them. which I think I've very rarely run into that issue. But I honestly feel like it is extremely more beneficial and effective to communicate policies directly to clients, and it's not something that needs to be posted on social media necessarily. So that was my first reason why. The second reason why was because just because you post them on social media or you have a highlight bubble with them does not mean that every client is going to see it, because Instagram, Facebook, it doesn't show all your posts to every follower that you have. In fact, it shows your posts to a very small percentage of the followers that you have. And so it doesn't mean they're going to see it, and it doesn't mean they're going to read it either. Even when you say in your bio, read my policies bubble before booking, I see that a lot these days. It just doesn't mean they're going to do that. Unfortunately, that's just the service industry for you, and I find it a lot easier, way more effective to just communicate it to them directly so that I know for a fact they've seen, read, agreed, all of that. And, we've all gotten DMs how do I book with you? What are your prices? All that, when they could easily find those on your page or your website anyway. And that's going to be the same thing with your policies. People just don't read everything these days, or can't find it either if it's not easily found. So there's no guarantee they'll see them, especially because not all of your clients will follow you on social media, nor will they all find you on social media. So it's just better, in my experience, to communicate those directly to them versus posting them on social media. And then number 3 is that the intent behind your social media should be to attract clients, not to communicate with your current clients. Because again, not everyone's seeing it, and posting your policies is not actually going to convert a follower into a paying client. No one's going to read your policies and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go book with her right now. It's not a needle moving activity for you. It's not going to help you build your clientele. It's one of those need to know information pieces that is communicated directly to current clients or people who have booked with you. So use your social media to actually attract clients, and leave your policies as a piece of need to know information that you let them know after they book with you. And I will say that I did have my policies on my website so that people could find them there if needed, or read them there if needed. But it's just not one of those things that you absolutely need to post on social media to be able to build your clientele quickly. And it's not one of those things that's going to contribute to you being able to build your clientele quickly. So there is number 2. The third thing that I didn't do to build my clientele was giveaways. They just honestly never felt aligned for me, especially when I was rebuilding my clientele. I just was not in a position to give away free services. My time was very valuable to me because I wanted to be spending the max amount of time with my family and at that time I only had my son. So I wanted to be able to spend the max amount of time with him, and just doing free services and being away from them and not making money just didn't sound aligned. I didn't want to do it, so I didn't. And I watched a lot of others in the industry do giveaway after giveaway with little to no results from it. I feel like a lot of times beauty pros do giveaways with the intent on wanting it to help them build their clientele, and it just doesn't. And I observed that a lot and watched that happen to a lot of other beauty pros and my friends and things. And just at the end of the day, I decided it wasn't for me, so I didn't do it. And again, there's nothing wrong with doing giveaways. If they work well for you, then that's wonderful. But it didn't feel aligned for me, and I was able to very quickly grow without them. So don't feel like you have to do giveaways if you don't want to. Just because you watch everyone else doing them doesn't mean you have to do it. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing that I didn't do was paid ads or boosting posts. And I guess on this one, I should say that I didn't consistently do, because I did try a paid ad once. I did it one time, and that was it. But I did a paid ad once when I first started rebuilding my clientele. I think I spent $20 on it, and all it literally did was get me some more views and a couple more likes, but it didn't get me any bookings. And at least at that time, I just wasn't in a position to be continuously spending money on something that didn't work for me, that wasn't getting me clients. that wasn't getting like potential clients engaging with my posts, that wasn't getting people in my inbox asking questions about services or anything like that. So I just ended up being like, okay, that didn't work out that great. I don't really want to try that again personally. So I'm just going to go focus on other methods. And I ended up just learning how to fill up my books without needing to do paid ads anyway. So then I just really didn't need them. And I will say now that I've taken a lot more marketing classes and business classes, and I understand it all on a higher level at this point, that when you're doing paid ads yourself, like DIYing it, it's really like a trial and error type of thing. Like you try it and then you tweak it and you try it again and, see what's working well, what's not, and, just tweaking and trying again and refining it as you go. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but for me, it didn't feel aligned. And I just, especially when I wasn't bringing in any income, I just didn't have the income to keep paying and trying again, without or with little to no results from it. So if paid ads are something that intrigue you or something that you want to do, I would definitely recommend like taking a course to learn how to do it and get results from it, or like hire a professional to do it for you so that you can get results and like make the most of your investment. That's something I'm really big on, is like making the most of the money you're spending on your business. Like you want to make sure that when you are spending money to like take a course or pay for an ad, like you're going to get a result or a return from it. So definitely would recommend like hiring someone or taking a course if paid ads are something that you want to do. But in my case, I just learned how to grow my business and fill my books without ads, so I just didn't need to do them. But I know also that there's a lot of people out there who can't afford to continuously be running paid ads. Like that was me when I was rebuilding my clientele. So in that case, learning how to organically build your clientele is really beneficial and a lot more effective, to be able to like learn and implement methods that aren't going to require you to like be continuously paying to grow and to like book clients, if that makes sense. So again, no right or wrong way to do things, but for me, I don't do paid ads, and I was still able to build my clientele very quickly without them. So that was number 4. The 5th and final thing I'm going to talk about today that I didn't do was run sales very often. I think in the course of rebuilding my clientele, I ran 2 specials. So one was during my very first month of rebuilding, and I did another one like a year later, during the first month of having a new lash artist working in my studio with me. And the thing about specials is that if you're running them really often, people start to expect them and they'll just wait until you run another one to book. Like, for example, if with like big companies with like products and stuff, or even I guess services, but if they're always running a special, let's say like, what is it? The one that's like printing like business cards and stuff, not Shutterfly. It's, oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of what it's called. Vistaprint. So like Vistaprint, they are always running a special. I will never order from them if there's not a special going on, because I know within the next week something will pop up. So it's the same thing. Like if you're always running specials, they're just going to wait until you run another one to book with you. And in my experience, they also tend to attract, like specials and deals, they also tend to attract price shoppers or people who can't afford the continuous expense of lash extensions or like beauty services. And obviously we want a full clientele, which entails repeat clients, especially if you are a service provider who does beauty services like lash extensions or nails or hair or something where they're coming back in rather frequently, rather often. Then repeat clients are where the money's at. That's the bread and butter of your business. Like you need that to be able to like continuously be bringing in and like create a stable income in your business. And so to have repeat clients, you need clients who have the disposable income to be able to keep up with beauty services consistently. So sales and doing specials, they aren't necessarily a bad thing to do, but I just found that I didn't really feel aligned with them. and that I was able to build my clientele quickly without doing them, and just able to bring in like a higher level of client. They feel like that when I did run those couple of sales, I ended up just having to replace those clients within a few months anyway, because they weren't long-term clients, which there's nothing wrong with that. Clientele's ebb and flow. Like, you'll have some who come and go, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just found in my experience that when I booked clients without a sale, they kind of stayed longer, and it was easier to keep them as repeat clients longer. And I also just eventually got to the point where I was able to fill my books consistently with full paying clients. So there just was really no real need to run a sale. Like, I'm not going to give them a discount if I could fill that spot with someone who's going to pay full price and not have any, like, ask any questions kind of thing. So instead of running sales a lot, I focused a lot more heavily on marketing my business and positioning my business as like a quality service, a good experience, like a 5-star service kind of thing, so that I would attract in higher paying clients who are willing to pay full price without asking, like, no questions asked. So I go a lot more in depth with this, and I teach you how to, market to higher paying clients in my online course called Luxury Beauty Business. So I will link that in the show notes below if you are wanting to learn organic marketing on attracting higher paying clients to your beauty business. I go really in depth on that in that side of that course. But that's what I focused on instead of running sales, was just really marketing my business and marketing it in a way that it was positioned to attract in higher paying clients. So to give you an example of this, like, if you are positioning your business as like super affordable and you're marketing to everyone, of course we always feel like we want everyone and anyone to come book an appointment with us, but in reality we actually don't, because we don't want the people who are going to tell us we're too expensive or walk out without paying or not respect our policies or not show up late, not respect us as their service provider, those kinds of things. You don't want those clients, right? So if you're positioning your business as affordable and bending over backwards to get clients in at any time that they need, that kind of thing, it typically attracts those price shopper clients, those policy breaker kind of clients, versus shifting and focusing your marketing on here's what the experience is like, here's what the quality is like, here's the benefits, showing them the value that you offer, giving them more reasons than just your prices to decide whether or not they're going to book with you. It tends to attract in higher paying clients who are willing to pay full price without, no questions asked. So that is everything that Luxury Beauty Business is about. It's a really good course. It's one of my faves. So I'll link that below. But these are the 5 things that I didn't do to build a full clientele in less than 6 months. And, what I see a lot in the beauty industry is a lot of solo business owners who have never marketed themselves before. They've never marketed a business before. So how they typically learn how to market is by watching other people do it, or copying or being inspired by how other people do it, or taking advice from well-meaning, well-intentioned family members or friends who have never owned a business before. And a lot of times this results in marketing yourself in a way that's not beneficial or effective, marketing yourself in a way that's not getting you clients, or getting you that lower level of client that tells you you're too expensive, shows up late, comes in with dirty lashes, doesn't follow your policies, disrespects you, that kind of thing. And it also can result in creating beliefs about your business, about how you need to market yourself to get clients that aren't necessarily true, and they're not necessarily effective or beneficial for you, or it's just plain things that you don't actually have to do to be able to grow your business. You don't actually have to run a special all the time. You don't have to be giving everyone a deal to be able to get clients. You don't have to be doing free services all the time to get clients. You don't have to necessarily be showing up on social media even to get clients. Like, there are other ways to grow without doing those things to be able to build your business. So if you don't want to do them, you don't have to do them. So I asked you at the beginning of this episode to think about the beliefs that you have about your business and what do you believe you need to do in order to build your clientele? Like, do you feel like you need to be on social media? Do you feel like you need to post every day? Do you feel like you need to have a referral program in place? Do you feel like you need to be in like a studio versus like your home? Like, what things do you feel like you need to do in order to get clients? And then ask yourself, like, do I feel aligned with these things? Like, is this really what I want to do to build my clientele? Because if you feel like you need to show up on social media, but you don't actually want to do that, like I've had a couple people ask me about courses, which a lot of my courses are social media ones because it's one of the biggest ways that I built my clientele, one of the biggest things that I teach on. And it just didn't feel aligned with them, so they didn't buy it, and that was totally okay. But like, find what feels aligned for you. Like, you don't have to show up on social media if you don't want to, and I just hope you don't feel like you have to do it regardless of that, because you get to do what feels good for you and what does feel aligned for you. And so just to give you like an example of this, like I have a belief that I can build my business a lot faster when I'm using social media. And I full-heartedly believe that. I full-heartedly teach that. But again, like I was saying a little bit ago, like not everyone feels aligned with using social media to build their business. They don't want to use it. And there are a ton of other ways you can build your clientele without social media. So you don't have to be on there and you can still build your business quickly. You don't have to have like a referral program and you can still build your business quickly. You don't have to like post every day on social media and you can still grow quickly. Or like you don't have to do giveaways or specials or post your prices or post your policies or any of the things that I talked about today. And you can still build your business and build your clientele quickly. Like, I just want you to know, like, my biggest point here is that you don't have to do things in your business the same exact way that everyone else does. Just because the lash artist down the street is doing well by using like a particular marketing method, or like they do things a certain way on social media, that doesn't mean that you have to do it that way or that's going to be what works best for you, or vice versa. Because I know for me, like, I didn't know anyone in my new town, so word of mouth wasn't my thing. I saw a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, word of mouth, like a lot of like podcasts and gurus, like beauty industry educators at that time were like, yeah, word of mouth. But that was really frustrating for me because it didn't feel aligned because I just didn't know anybody. Like, it wasn't going to work for me. I needed something else. And I think one of the biggest points I want to make in this episode is like just to help you realize that there's a lot of different ways to grow your business and you get to do what feels best for you. And like, you don't have to, like, just because you feel like you need to do certain things doesn't mean that that's necessarily true. At the end of the day, I just hope you know that you get to run your business your way, in a way that feels good for you, and you get to find marketing methods that work the best for you. And building a clientele, it's going to look different for everyone, and I just want you to know that you get to do it your way. And if you find that what you're doing isn't working, it's not getting you the results that you want, then that's when it's time to reevaluate it and tweak it and try again. Because I feel like we get in these cycles of thinking if we just keep doing it, we just need more time, we just keep going, we just keep quote unquote grinding. I don't really like that word, but I hear that a lot. So like, just keep grinding, you just keep going, that you'll get the results that you want. But if what you're doing isn't working, like if it's not getting people asking you about booking an appointment in your inbox, if it's not getting like clients actually booking with you, if it's not getting potential clients engaging with your posts, or not getting you referrals from word of mouth, or whatever it is, then it's probably time to tweak what you're doing and try again. Like, there are a lot of different methods out there. There's a lot of things that you can be doing to grow. Find what works best for you and run with it. So there we have it for today. Those are the 5 things that I did not do, or that weren't beneficial or effective for me to do to be able to build my clientele. in less than 6 months. And I hope this was a little bit more eye-opening for you. I feel like I don't think I've really ever seen anyone talk about this before, like the things that didn't work or things that they didn't do. So I hope it just gave you a fresh perspective and maybe gave you some ideas of things that you can tweak and try again on with the strategies that you are currently utilizing. So I really hope it was beneficial for you and helpful for you. If you're listening, I'd love for you to screenshot this and tag me on Instagram so that I can see that you watched. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. If we aren't already friends on Instagram, you can find me at XOEricaSchramm. I'll link it in the show notes below. And I will see you guys again next week for another episode.